And welcome everyone to another exciting adventure on the energy that surrounds us. I'm your host, Michael. Thank you all for joining us on a special night. And I have a special team that I am super excited to have on. I have been watching them in the backgrounds, and they have exciting adventures, and you guys are in for a huge treat with them on. And I could spend some more time, building them up, but where's the fun in that? Instead, I am going to surprise everyone and have Natalie introduce who's coming on and a little bit about your guys's.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we are Blondes and Booze, and we are mostly in the Midwest. I'm over here on the East Coast, and we do paranormal investigations along with cryptid investigations too. And over here, joining me is the lovely Krista and the gorgeous Brandy.
Hello.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, who came up with the name Blondes and Booze, and what was the aha moment that got everyone together?
Yeah, that's a
So,
funny story. That's for Krista. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's all Krista.
yeah, so it started back when COVID, and there was another blonde, Erin, and it was she and I, and we just used to talk on the phone a lot and talk about all this weird stuff, and how the world was shut down and you couldn't do anything. So it was actually her idea for the show, but then she's like, "Well, what are we going to call it?" And we thought about it, and then I come up with Blondes and Booze. Well, everybody told us that name would fail, and I'm like, whatever, it's there's nothing. It's booze, BOOS, not the drink, not the body parts, none of that stuff. So anyway, it was Erin and I for a little while, and then Brandy's been a good friend for a long time, and so Erin had a lot of family stuff going on, and so Brandy was coming on, and some shows it was the three of us, and then some shows it was honestly got to be just more so Brandy and I, and then next thing you know it, Erin backed out, and it was Brandy and I for several years, and then we met Mary Lynn and Natalie, and we all just like clicked, and that doesn't happen with women. Women are catty, women fight, but not the four of us. Like, we are truly good friends outside of this. We hang out, we do stuff together. And so Brandy and I were talking, and we're like, let's bring them on. So here we are. There's four of us now. And we all get along. That's very important.
Yes, we are all branded.
Tattooed each other on our arms.
We are all branded.
We're all branded.
We are branded. Yep.
So what I'm hearing is there's no turning back now.
No,
absolutely not. I've got their faces on my body. There is just no way we're gonna, turn from that.
I have them on my body.
Yes.
Forever.
Forever.
I don't even have my kids on my body, but I got my booze.
We got the booze on the family.
Oh.
Yep. So here we are, and we're all connected in body and spirits, literally.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it has been a labor of love of all of this, because Chris and I know we got started out in the paranormal from very early ages, and it has been a journey for us to get this far with our channel and everything that we're doing, and to have Natalie and Mary Lynn join our team and become part of the Booze family. We are just super excited, super stoked for everything that's coming up.
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty cool. And Krista and I were talking beforehand that one isn't able to make it. And do you want to address that a little bit real quick, Krista?
Well, Mary Lynn, actually, she had told us earlier she was going to be on. She's been traveling, but she texted the three of us in our chat, and she has food poisoning. So we wish her well.
Oh, man, I've had that. That is no bueno. So
yeah,
my heart goes out to her and hope she gets to feeling better.
That's eating that strange food in some greasy diner, probably.
Right.
She's been traveling forever.
Yeah, it could be the dreaded convenience store food or something.
Mm,
Yeah,
No
Yeah.
kidding.
yes. Gas
Yeah.
station sushi.
I
there it
was
is.
just thinking that.
So yeah, so here we are, and we're all glad to be here and
Yeah.
appreciate the invite.
Absolutely.
So
Mhm.
I have an interesting question for Natalie, being that you're on the East Coast while everyone
Yeah.
else is in the Midwest.
Hmm.
How do you guys get together and investigate together? Do you travel to them or do they come to you?
It's strategic. So, so a lot of times we will map out events throughout the
Mhm.
year and to see where we want to meet up. And it's funny because we meet up in these locations and then we get tattoos. And we are like family. I mean, these are like sisters to me. And so
Mhm.
when we get together, we have so much fun, and so we always plan it out to be an event. Now, just recently, I was filming with Relic, and then there was an event in Missouri. So I met up with Krista,
Mhm.
spent the night at her house, and then we went and investigated in a graveyard. And then the next day went to the Ray County Museum. So it was
Mhm.
phenomenal. I had a whole week off and it was just so much fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's, most of the time we try to just meet at a central location. Other times I'll
Mhm.
just go to them.
No, that's very cool that works that way and that you guys can, because I know a lot of people, when they're a team, one person will get left out because they're too far away and they don't get to go to everything all
Mhm.
the time. And so it's really cool that you guys make the effort to
For sure.
get together all the
Hmm.
time together as much as you
Yeah.
can.
Mhm.
Well, they're
Well, we
coming to Florida in June.
yep, we will be in Florida and for the Bigfoot conference down there, and then
Mhm.
we're meeting up in first part of May in Townsend, Tennessee, and then we have Gatlinburg conference, and
Mhm.
then we're filming a TV show. So we will be seeing a lot of each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
So, how do you all make time to do all of this?
Very carefully.
Yeah.
Well in advance. Well in
Yes.
advance. That's
Yeah.
all I've got to say. It's kind of like we've got everything all mapped out of what we're doing basically in 2026. We're now starting to look in 2027
Mhm.
because we do have to go, this far in advance, especially if we're doing conferences or PureCons or anything like that,
Mhm.
because we like to have a little extra time to just hang out with each other and
Mhm.
do whatever
Right.
we choose. So, I mean, yes, we have to request off work and get that approved and all of that. So we know at least 3 to 4 months in advance what we're
Yep.
doing,
We
at
do.
least.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so, what is your guys' go to routines for investigating? Like, I know some teams are like, we'll get together, have dinner, go investigate, go home, or stay if the place allows it. So, what is your guys' go to preference of investigating?
Well, we always got to eat. We always got to eat. I mean,
Right.
that's first and foremost. We always got to eat. So, whatever, regardless of whatever it is. And sometimes when we investigate, it's not at nighttime. It could be,
Mhm.
we have to meet for breakfast and then we're going on out to the woods or, wherever. I mean, it just depends on exactly what we're doing for that particular time. Um, but I mean, as for that, there's nothing really. I mean, it
Mhm.
just seems like that when we all get together, it goes by too fast.
I
It
So we
does.
know.
don't really plan anything. We just make sure we eat and we're hydrated. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. That's all we
Mhm.
got.
And
Yep.
caffeinated.
And
Yes.
caffeinated. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And we show up when we have to show up, where we're
Uh-huh.
supposed to be, but then the
Yes.
rest of the time, we try to spend it together. So
Yeah. And I love the fact that we can, do different things and do, Krista may say, hey, I have an idea. And Brandy may say, I have this idea. And then
mhm.
we do different things. So it's not like a set routine or, this is this structure, this is this structure. No, we just kind of go, okay, what's next? And we just
Right.
go with it. And
Yep.
sometimes it really works out phenomenal.
Yes.
You know, we
Yeah.
get some great evidence, we get some great lives, we get some great feedback, and it's just a really good
Mhm.
time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's more or less, hey, what are you doing? Or hey, what do you want to do? Yeah,
Hmm.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Reverend Wolf VIP, I think, has a question for you. I'm trying to read it to see because it feels like a question, but it's not written as a question, really. When you do a paranormal investigation, the equipment you use to detect electromagnetic frequencies and radiation and EVP exist in this realm of energy. What do you guys think about that?
So for me, I personally don't use the equipment, and Brandy will attest to that. I just feel
Mhm.
like your own body is your best
Yeah.
form of equipment. It tells you everything you need to know.
Hmm.
So, I mean, do I mind when people use equipment? No, I don't. And to each their own. But for me, I don't use equipment.
I think we kind of do it both ways, because you know your body can feel a lot more than you
Mhm.
think it can if you only allow it. I think that
Right.
sometimes that when you have equipment, it's just you're waiting for the lights and the whistles, and you're not really paying attention to the rest of the room.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But like your body will tell you when something's close to you, you
Mhm.
know, by the way you feel. I mean, physically, we always talk about having the spider web feeling, like if something is
Yep.
touching you or whatever. But I mean, you could also have feelings in your stomach, like it may twist and turn a little bit if something's a little too close to you, or you know, just different things. And it's good to pay attention to all of it. Now, I work with more sound and frequency is my new go-to. That is what I'm leaning towards now because I'm trying different things. I'm trying to get away from the bells and whistles, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to get energy and connect with the other energy in the room to see if I could get it to come closer without, you know, all the lights and everything, because I sometimes it is very distracting. But don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, I love my REM pods. I really do. I love them and everything. But um I mean, that is my choices for sound and frequency. That's for me. Krista loves just to let her body, you know, feel what's going on. And I'll let Natalie explain what she likes to do.
Yeah, so I love my dowsing rods. I think,
Mhm.
you know, they're not scary to the spirit
Mhm.
world. They're just rods. Where sometimes you get a little apprehension with these devices. They can be a little scary. I have tried out a couple EVP apps on my phone. I wasn't impressed.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you know, it is what it is. You always try to, you know, just test it out, experiment with it. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay.
Mhm.
And so I, again, just like Kristen Brandy, I use my body. My body tells me everything. It tells me when there's a spirit near me in the room, when they're moving around, if how they feel, because I feel energy, I feel emotions. I can tell you if they're happy, sad, anxious. I could tell all of that. So again, your body is your best way, your
Absolutely.
best beacon to understand what they're going through.
Mhm. Yeah, we
Yeah.
always say that because, there's a lot of people that are looking down at their meters or looking at their equipment, and they can
Mhm.
miss a full-bodied apparition that walked right in front of them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And there's a lot on the other side, though, where I know that I need to walk in with my audio equipment on. I know that I need to be prepared as soon as I walk through the door, and I don't. And as soon as I walk into a location, something starts happening, and I'm like, ah, I didn't have the video on. I didn't have my audio on, and you are automatically tuned into it. It's like screaming at you as soon as you walk in the door, and you didn't catch it.
Hmm.
But
mhm,
I was so aware of my surroundings walking in without having to worry about all these little doodads that I caught it, you know,
Hmm.
with validation because there were people walking in with me, which is always
mhm,
nice.
yeah.
But can I play it for anybody? No, I can just tell you about it. That's it. That's all I can tell you.
Right, right. Yeah.
No, and that's really cool. And also, really, I love how you guys have your own, styles and work
Mhm,
together and
Hmm.
it gels. And Reverend Wolf brought up an interesting thing of, he used to be on Paranormal State. And
cool.
I loved watching that show
I
growing
did
up.
too. It was a
And
great show.
so, my question to you is, was there a paranormal show that kind of sparked your interest or got you hooked into the paranormal,
Mm-hmm.
or that you just enjoyed watching and was like, hey, I want to try that, and got ideas from?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was way before the paranormal TV shows out. It was more like, the Leonard Nimoy and things like that. I've always had an interest in it. However, like a favorite TV show back in the days, I got to say Ghost Lab. Kling brothers are friends of ours, so they'd probably hurt us if we didn't say their show. And then,
I love those guys.
and honestly, I did watch Paranormal State. That was a good show, and I liked the original Ghost Hunters and that kind of thing
Mhm.
too.
For me, nothing got me interested in it. This is the paranormal side of things has been happening since I was very young, even before I could remember. I had my mother tells me stories. So what it would be is it was a normal part of life. So it didn't get me interested in it. It was just kind of something
Right.
that happened. So it was kind of natural for me to get into these things once these shows started, happening. Of course, TAPS was my original first
Mm-hmm.
paranormal show that I thought, well, hey, I'll go out and look for these things versus it just coming to me, just happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that would be fun to see, maybe I can learn a little bit more about why this is happening to me, or, why do I hear these things? Why do I see them? But yeah, I would think that's my first memorable show that said, maybe I can do this.
Right.
And I was young, very young when that show came out. Well, not super young, but young enough. Young enough.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that,
Careful.
young enough. But but I was Chaps, I would say, would be the first one that said, hey, why don't you go investigate? That's what got me into investigating.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I've had paranormal activity start in my life since I was 3, and it just, proceeded throughout my life. And to be honest, it scared me because I didn't understand it. I would watch different paranormal shows on TV, and I did really love Wraith Chasers. That was just one of
Oh
my
yeah, they're
favorites.
great.
But the one that really catapulted me into wanting to discover more was Amy Bruni and her methodology on how she goes forth and investigates a haunting. And she said, they just need a voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, they do. They don't have a voice. They
Yeah.
want to be heard. They were maybe once living. They want to maybe communicate with us, and they need help. And once I looked at it in that light, I was like, it changed the whole trajectory. And so the way I look at it now, it's how can we help you? What can we do to get a message through or a message across?
Mm-hmm.
And the dynamic is, not a lot of times are we getting these negative entities. Once in a blue moon you do.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, they're just friendly and just want to hang out. And
Right.
sometimes they just sometimes just sitting around talking like you would, having a glass of wine or a beer or whatever, and you're having normal conversation, they want to join in on that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they haven't had that. So that's how I kind of approach things.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
I think I've caught more evidence when I'm just sitting around having a normal conversation with somebody else than I have in any other time. We'll be sitting around talking about what we're going to do, the following day or whatever, and you hear these voices just coming into your conversation, and I've had that happen more times than I can count.
Yeah. Can I address a comment real quick?
Sure.
Yes.
Reverend says, so you let groups in who claim to be investigators and researchers, who leave the bigger problem behind for the owners to live with, and they move on. So no, we absolutely do not. When we do private cases, we are with them to the end, 100%. We don't charge. We stay with them. And there was actually one case that I worked 5 years doing. And so no, we we are available for them. We go over the evidence with them, and if they're still having issues, we reach out to other people who might be able to help us. And with that 5-year case, we were able to get the help we need, and we finally were able to close that case. So yeah,
it's not a one and done with us.
No.
A private case takes several months at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, and I understand where you're coming from, because, a lot of times when you do investigations, it does amp up. So we're not going into people's homes and being ignorant, because they do live there. We don't, we get to leave, and we get that. We totally understand that. So, we're not a team that just wants evidence, because we're truly there to help the people, where they're comfortable in their home.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things
on the side, if somebody's having issues, we'll go out there and we do the same thing and use the same respect.
Yeah, and I respect that about you guys, and I have on many shows and many interviews. I will say, as investigators, we have to stop opening portals, inviting stuff in, and just leave. And not close, not clean up what we brought in. And I know some people don't realize that they're doing it, but I feel like, you should, if you're in the paranormal, you should know what you're doing and what effect and impacts it has. And if not, listen to, these shows and, learn from it and change your patterns.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. And then Reverend Wolf says, in doing things like inviting stuff in, there's no such thing as closing it afterwards. We don't invite anything in. We go there to recreate what the homeowner is telling us. And so, we don't go in thinking, oh, this house is haunted. We have to get our own, evidence before we jump on the haunted bandwagon. And a lot of people do that, and same thing with, they say there's a demon in their house, and, not all ghosts are demons,
I mean, that demonic aspect on everything is very rare and few and far between. Most of what you might be dealing with is somebody who has a nasty disposition. Well, they had that in life, they're going to have that in death, and that's probably what you're dealing with. So, I mean, a lot of this is I don't even know how we got on private investigations. I mean, we weren't even going in that situation. But no, it is not like that. We don't invite things in, and we don't invite people in. Anybody that is in our circle that does these investigations with us, the private ones at least, they are well prepared. They are very experienced in doing things like this. So it is not like we're going in just blind and running around going, oh, it's a ghost, it's a demon, it's a whatever. Yeah. That's not how it goes. We're very serious about what we do, and it is not a joke.
No, so we don't go live on private cases or anything like that.
No, we may talk about a few aspects of things that have happened, but it is definitely not anything that would say where it is, who it was. We might talk about an instance or something that might have happened in it, but normally not.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that, Reverend Wolf. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to piggyback on what you're saying, Brandy, is I would talk to a lot of people, and because I took my approach with the metaphysical background of, when you look at society and you say to a child, you're dumb, and then another kid comes up and says, wow, you're dumb, and then a few more, what does that kid start to think? He's dumb. So when we have a spirit that, just like you're saying, has a bad disposition or is being misunderstood, and everybody goes, this is a demon. Another team comes in, this is a demon. The spirit's going to sit there and go, you want a demon? I'll bring you a demon.
Yeah.
You can manifest, whatever. And
to somebody who's untrained, I'm sorry, Krista, but to somebody who's untrained, they may think it's a demon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so then you've got a whole different situation on your hand
Mhm.
that is way more negative than it actually started out to be. So, you know, it is good to go in with an open mind, with the experience backing you that would state, hey, I can determine, you know, what we're dealing with. And that is first and foremost what we go in looking for. What am I dealing with? That's
Yeah.
exactly what we look for.
Right.
And
And I
right.
had a guest who pointed out, and she said, take your arm and go like you're trying to grab it and you can't grab it, you know, because being in the spirit energy. And
Mhm,
I said, yeah, there's 3 marks on my hand, on my arm. She
mhm.
goes, now, what about spirits? You know, everyone claims, oh, I've been scratched. It's a
Right.
demon. Could the spirit have been trying to grab your arm and
Absolutely.
couldn't make it?
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
was like, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
we really, I'm, it's like one of my pet peeves when people will just throw out these terms and not deal with the repercussions of it. And I had on the Warren Legacy Foundation, and they were telling me about a case where a lady called paranormal team in and said, "I need help with my son. He's seeming very, you know, disturbed."
Mhm.
And they came in, they investigated and left, and they said, "Here's our findings. Your son has about 70 demons attached to him, and you know, I'm not. We don't know what we can do to help." So she contacts the Warren Legacy Foundation and they say, we can help. We'll be out there in a couple of days, you know, because our schedule is booked. But don't worry, we can help. The next day, she calls the foundation and says, you don't need to come. And they said, no, ma'am, trust us. We can help your son. And she goes, no, you don't understand. My son took his life because of what that paranormal team said.
Ah,
And so I, at times when I'm feeling really called to, I will bring that story out and go, all of you who do that, I hope this story resonates with you and you learn and you stop doing that,
Mm-hmm.
because there are repercussions to
Mhm.
what we
Yeah.
do.
Yes. Absolutely. You
yeah.
know, that's the thing, you know, just I don't know. There are a lot of bad teams out there too. I will say,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people who charge people, you know, to do private cases, and that's for profit. That's not what any of us are about. We never have been. And the same thing, you know, on the cryptid side, if somebody's having, you know, problems with Bigfoot or whatever, you know, I mean, we're there.
Mm-hmm.
We will help, you know, as best
Yeah.
as we can. And like I said, if we don't know the answers, we'll find somebody to help us. You know,
Well,
Yeah.
we're not going to drop you.
and we're very careful of to say we are not experts. There
Nope.
are no experts,
Mm-mm.
period.
Absolutely.
Not in any field, not in UFO, cryptid, paranormal, whatever. There are no
Right.
experts. Okay.
No.
Because we don't have the answers to all of the questions.
Right.
So this is kind of like every situation that we get in is very unique to that
Mm-hmm.
location. Nothing is ever the same. So when people get out there and they just start saying, well, this and this is this, well, how do you know? I mean,
Right.
how do you, are you for sure?
Mhm.
And tell me, where is your proof, or how do you know that this is the way it is? You
Yeah.
don't. So,
Exactly. And I was thinking about two stories when you said that, Brandy. Is number one,
Mhm.
there was a case. This was in New York where they said their house was haunted. They didn't know what was going on. The main activity was happening in the bedroom. They were frightened. And the paranormal team goes in and realizes it's bad wiring in the ceiling causing issues in
yeah,
the bedroom. And that's where it was. They're like, you don't need us, you need an electrician.
right.
Mhm.
And then for me personally, I went to the Everglades and kept being told that, you're going to hear this and you're going to hear that. And it's a skunk ape. And so I said, okay, I went out there camping. I did a solo camping adventure and
Mhm.
I heard exactly what came in and I heard exactly what they said. And it turned out it was a Florida panther, a male Florida panther in heat. and they make these god awful noises, and you would think that it would be a skunk
Right.
ape, and no, it was a Florida panther in heat. Saw a cougar in a tent, just saying. But you know, a lot of people said, oh yeah, it's a skunk ape. It wasn't. So
Mhm.
you
No.
just have to know and
Right.
talk to the locals, get your evidence, really go in, because it's not all the time is it paranormal or is it a cryptid. You just
Mhm.
Right.
really have to go in with a clean slate and start from scratch.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like we've always got somebody who is more experienced in the background. So if we are having issues, no matter what we're doing, we always have somebody that we can contact and ask them. They may have more
Mhm.
experience or have experienced that particular thing to an extent. And so we're prepared when we walk in. We might not have all the answers right then, but we've got people to call. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just,
Yeah.
it's not like, we just go in and give you our opinion and that is it.
Mhm.
We seriously go through, talk to everybody that we can talk to, and get everybody's opinion on what this could be or how to, achieve the best outcome when we're doing these things, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really funny talking about this too, because literally, and I'll talk to you girls later, but we just got a message about a private case here in Missouri asking if we still do that. So I don't know if it's somebody from chat, but it was on my personal phone number, so somebody from before.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
So
we still do that. I mean, even
Mhm.
though, we love doing the open investigations and we like to go into these big locations and do all kinds of fun things, we're still here to help. We're not above that.
yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I
Exactly.
I agree with you, Wolf VIP. Absolutely. Until somebody talks to you. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
So we actually, Wolf VIP earlier said, have you guys ever heard of something called the spirit frequency? It's very fascinating.
Hmm.
As in what, like the spirit frequency, like being on another plane, another realm right by us. I have heard about that. Yes. If
I,
that's
yeah,
what Wolf means.
I often wonder now, knowing what I know about how our world is, some
Mhm.
of these, apparitions that we see that they say are intellectual or repetitive, I wonder, are they repetitive here or are they repetitive on like a paranormal timeline, paranormal
Mhm.
universe, different dimension? Because
Mhm.
we honestly would never know. And we're
Yeah,
assuming, oh, we're looking at the 1700s. Well, we could be looking at an Earth where what we
absolutely.
viewed as our 1700s is their modern day, and they're looking at us
Mhm.
going, who are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There have been instances where we are not sure what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We were listening to a story of Marley Woods, which is located here in Missouri, but we were listening to a story and he was talking about this creature that were kind of reminded him of a gigantic sloth. That's what it reminded him of. And how it was in the spirit realm and not of the, of the physical earth, but that it was like that. Well, when I was doing research trying to find out what could have possibly been roaming, well, we're talking about something that died out thousands and thousands of years ago, that
Mhm.
it did physically exist in this area. Um, so when he started to explain that to me, I was like, okay. So, I mean, we could be dealing with something that could be pre Homo sapien that we know of today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it could be something very, very strange that we're dealing with out there. So just
Absolutely.
uh,
Well,
Yeah.
we
that
were
sounds
dealing with a
strange.
prehistoric animal is what we were dealing with, with that. But
Yeah.
it's just fantastic the things that we can go and look at and research. And, when we're doing our shows and everything, I do have to show you is that we got notebooks. Okay. I've got plenty of notebooks. This is just
Mhm.
some of them that I have here. And I'm constantly every show that if it's something that I think, well, maybe I need to know more about that. That would be interesting, or that would help me out in something else. Or I'm always writing notes down and jotting stuff down, and it helps because when we're out investigating, we could run into a situation where we could use some of that knowledge to be more successful in, figuring out what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So
for me, quite often we go into the field and we study something and we're looking at something and we experience something, and the question that we had just became 25 more questions.
Right.
yes,
Because then it opens up new doors. What about that portal? What about, those orbs? What about, the different types of energies in the realms? There are so many questions that we would love these answers. And so, yeah, every time we go out, we just get more questions.
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's not that's not a blonde thing, I promise.
No.
No.
Not a blonde thing. It's
No.
I wish we had all the answers, but we just
we don't. No.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
But we try our best. And like I said, that one case I worked for 5 years. It took me, I took demonology. I studied demonology, and it took me calling Jeremy Leonard saying, "Hey, I got an issue here. Like, I can't figure out what's at this place." And he was actually able to help us close it, and come find out it was elementals. I didn't believe in that stuff then. I wasn't believing in fairies and trolls. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And then we did what he told us to do, and they have no issues today.
Yeah, and I mean, once you get into the fae side of things, I'm completely lost. I mean, it's such a vast array of fae that I don't ever think that I could learn all of it that needs to be known. And you can kind of call out the usual suspects, on certain things, but honestly, I don't even know what I'd be dealing with out there if I ran into that stuff. I'd be like, well, I better call somebody because this is not me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've made enough friends doing this with every genre. We have a go-to person who's more versed in things that we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the fun thing when dealing with the fae is you could be like, say a leprechaun, for example. Everybody views them as these happy-go-lucky, but if you step on their land without permission, it's a whole nother story. And so you never know what you could be doing to trigger the fae. And so, yeah, they are really interesting to interact with because you have to really understand what's going on and which one you're dealing with, and going, okay, what did I do? And be willing to listen and apologize if needs be, the way they want you to apologize, which may look ridiculous, like hopping on one foot, for 2 minutes, and they'll be like, all's forgiven.
Yeah.
But you're like, no way I'm doing that. And then they're going to be like, oh no, now it's going to something else.
Right.
So yeah, it's.
Well, I saw a troll when I was doing this case, and it was in a tack room. It was at a horse barn, big horse ranch. And I saw a troll, and not only myself saw it, another guy that was investigating with me, he saw it. And then after that, 2 other investigators were walking up the hill and saw a troll in a tree. I thought it was demonic because I did not believe in the fae at that time. I was like, man, that's a demon looking thing, because it wasn't pretty and it looked scary. And so I really thought it was demonic. And then so we took that approach, and then they were still having issues, so that's when I reached out to the Cajun demonologist, and he's like, you got the fae there. And so we did what he suggested. I'm like, you're crazy, but we'll do it. At that time, I was open for anything. And sure enough, we did it, and it worked. And these people, like, I'm still in touch with her, and she's fine at the house. Animals are thriving now, and it's crazy. So I'm a big believer in the fae now.
Yeah, and the funny thing about the fae is in Ireland, where they're really prominent, some people believe in them and some don't. And if you build your house and there's a corner that's on Fey land and you don't get their permission, you will have a lot of problems with your house. They've actually documented this, and they say you have to do this and you have to put this in the corner that's on their land, make amends. And as soon as they make amends, everything with the house starts to settle down and calm down. And it's like, it's funny to hear that, because we just build and don't really pay attention to what's what, and going how it is still embedded in their culture over there. Even if they don't believe in it, they still believe in it.
Even in Hawaii, the Menehune are very prominent, and the Hawaiian culture is that you show respect, and here are the guidelines, and even the U.S. military will follow those guidelines. They have done military roads, and they had to stop because the Menehune did not give permission. So there have been there has been military activity halted because of the Menehune. So it's very, very interesting. And believe me, it was part of the routine for all military personnel to make sure that there is no pebbles or anything in the bottoms of their shoes or inside their shoes when they left to go back to the base, because you cannot take a piece of a rock or anything with them off of sacred land. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like going to a haunted location. You don't want to take anything home with you either. And I don't care if it is a pebble or, a large size rock. And don't do it. Do not do it.
Nope.
Nope, I don't.
A lot of people go to these larger locations, these well-known locations, and try to take something, whether if it's minute, and it doesn't matter. It's, it just doesn't matter to the property itself, but to the spiritual side of everything, you didn't want to do that. You didn't want to do it. So I've seen that a lot of people in certain circumstances have sent that stuff back to the location saying, I'm sorry, I took this. I wanted to return it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that's a big thing with the Bell Witch.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I had a funny experience at a paranormal event where the location we were at was, we do a haunted house there, and I'm one of the actors for it, and I investigate it. And this teenage girl runs up to me and she goes, I was playing with the Ouija board and it started acting on its own and we threw it in the fire. Am I okay? And I had to look at her straight in the face and say, no, you're not.
No.
You actually really made it a lot worse. And she goes, what do you mean I made it worse? I said, you burned its way home. Now it has to find another way home. And so it's going to stick with you until it finds its way home.
Yeah, Krista, you need to tell the story about the police officer. The female that ran across into something like that. Go ahead and tell, because that's very interesting that you said that, Michael, because this is almost the same thing.
So a past friend of mine in Brandy's was a police is a police officer, and he texted me about he had a fellow police officer who was young, and a couple of them went out and they did the Ouija board, and they said nothing happened, blah 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 blah. And then that evening at night, she was sleeping. She was a single mom, and she was sleeping in her bed, and there was somebody standing over her, and she thought it was a real human being. She even pulled her gun, and then it just disappeared. And so, I truly believe that she opened up something she couldn't close. Well, and then come to find out, when I talked to her, she had the Ouija board in the trunk of the police car. And I'm like, oh my God, you got to get that out of there. This is what you do, So I had her go bury it and put salt around it. And then I told our friend, I was like, listen, you need to do a cleansing on that police car, because that negative energy is in there, before anybody gets hurt or anything like that. So, he did. And fortunately, that works, that she was able to get rid of it, but she's damn lucky. She's very lucky that she was able to get rid of
If
it.
I remember correctly, they had some kind of problem, like it got a flat tire and then something else mechanically went wrong with it while the board was in the car.
Yeah. Yep. It was just, it's nothing to play with, and honestly, I don't think the Ouija boards are bad. I think, there are people out there who know what they're doing. I personally don't use them, but there are people out there who do know how to use them and know how to open and close them and do the proper channels. But they're not kids' toys. They're not to be messed with by people who don't know what they're doing. And I won't mess with it with one I did years ago as a kid, and I'm fortunate that nothing happened. But you couldn't pay me money today to do a Ouija board, I mean, I've done several private cases with people who've messed with Ouija boards.
Yeah, and I don't mind them. I don't mind them at all. But I'm also like on high alert when I'm using these things, and I'm making sure that they're open properly, they're closed properly, and that I'm using them with somebody who is exactly in the same frame and that I'm at, because I won't use one with somebody who is inexperienced. I won't use it, just to play around. But I mean, to each his own. I mean, I don't use them now hardly at all, because now I'm scared, because I've heard the stories about people who say, "Oh yeah, I know how to use them," and then they don't.
Right.
There's been certain locations that have acquired more spirits, and they don't know how they got there, and then later on we find out, well, they were playing with the Ouija board and opened up something, opened a door somewhere, and we're letting these things in and to come and go as they pleased.
Right.
And
they don't know how to close them. And that's the problem. Like I said, I've done several private cases that started out because of Ouija boards. And, it was inexperienced people. And one of the cases was teenage kids,
Yeah.
So
I do have to say that my first initial contact with an Ouija board was I was watching my mom and aunts and her friends use these things. And I remember everything that they did. It's like they were cleaning everything up as they closed it down. It was very cool. And the very first time that I used one was with my mother. So it was kind of like I had a safe spot with somebody who knew what they were doing. So it didn't, I didn't have a negative experience. And, a lot of people do with those. A lot of people do with those.
Yeah. What I find interesting is the tarot deck. Like today we use it as divination, but few people realize it started out as a card game, just like poker. And the Ouija board was sold to kids in a toy store.
As a toy. Brothers made them.
And so it's, it makes me wonder, one, did the creators of these games know what they were doing and have a agenda in mind for what's to come? Or when did we decide, we can turn this game into something else, and it takes on a whole new view?
I don't even know who actually thought that it was a good idea to put it out as a toy. I'm like,
yeah. Well, about a year ago, you could go to Five and Below and get a Ouija board.
Yeah.
They had stacks of them.
You still can. I just saw them like right before Christmas.
Yeah.
They're still there.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's something you get for somebody you don't like for Christmas.
I had a best friend who his sister's girlfriend went up to me and was like, "Here's my Secret Santa list," because we had all turned them in, and I had her list, and on the top of her list was a Ouija board. And I was like, why? Why on earth is this on your wish list?
Yeah, like Reverend says, it became a board game for households before television and radio. And, honestly, that's how, like the movie The Exorcist, that whole story started with a Ouija board.
It did.
It did.
It was a boy and his Aunt Tilly, and started doing the Ouija board, and one thing led to another, and
They ended up
until they
here.
died.
They ended up here in St. Louis, and now we have a heck of a story for all time.
Yeah, and that started out because of a Ouija board.
Yeah.
And it was back in 1940 something. I don't remember the exact year, but
it was somewhere around there. Yeah.
On a silly, funny note, like Tammy's saying, they still sell them at Walmart, and I can't help but think when I hear that going, and look at all the crazy people who are in Walmarts. Could there be a connection?
And with a lot of people in our area, we're in the Bible Belt. We are in the Bible Belt, so our Walmarts do not have them.
Really? I'm in the Bible Belt, and ours does.
Oh, ours does not. Ours will not carry them. Yep, because I think we have more churches than we have anything else.
Yeah, Brandy lives in a small town in southern.
Yeah, so we have more churches than our Walmart does not. Walmart is probably the grocery store, the biggest grocery store in the area. That's the grocery store that we have to go to. You have the little mom and pop shops and maybe one that's a little bit bigger, but yeah, that's it. That's what we have.
I haven't even looked here at my Walmart, and I live in a pretty decent sized town. I'll have to look next time I'm there. I'm not gonna buy one, just look, see if they sell them.
I'm gonna look too.
But they sell like Cards of Humanity, and all of that stuff, and I'm like, you're gonna sell that? You know what I mean? You're gonna sell that?
Yeah.
But they do. I guess they didn't look at that.
Right.
But honestly, it's basically a harmless thing until
it's not.
Until it gets into the wrong hands. And it's the same thing with a firearm.
Yeah.
They're fine until it gets into the wrong hands. It's just it's the same thing. It's a loaded weapon. That's all I got to say. It's a loaded weapon.
That's accurate.
And and here's the same thing too, even like equipment, using equipment and stuff, you're still communicating with the other side.
Yes.
Is my thoughts. If you have bad intentions, even using the equipment, you don't know what you're opening. Same thing with the boards and stuff. So
even if you're just talking in the air to someone, like if I heard something and I think it's whomever and I just start talking to them, well, I'm opening up that telephone line to say, hey, we can talk back and forth if you want to say something. I'm opening that up. And it's the thing. I have to say this about private investigations. You do all this work and, you tell them, hey, you want this stuff to stop happening. Well, you're going to have to, stop communicating. You're going to have to stop. You're going to have to ignore it. You're just going to have to let it just kind of go off on its own and let its energy deplete. So it will just kind of leave you alone. And then the next thing you know, you get a phone call and it's happening again, but you find out that they're doing something that is asking them to come back, such as bringing out recorders. Oh, because you heard something, you're going to put a recorder out and then you start talking about it. I keep hearing those weird noises again. I'm going to put that out to see if I can catch a ghost or whatever, or something small, but you're opening up that line of communication no matter what it is. No matter what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of times people, forget about the mimics and are like, oh, I was talking with grandma or I was talking with uncle, and then it took a twist and I started to feel uneasy, and it's like because it wasn't grandma or your uncle when you started, but you were so hyper focused on talking to them, you weren't paying attention to the red flags, and you brought it back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the other thing is too, when we're doing these investigations and the cleansing begins, I always say these are not a one and done. A cleansing is not a one and done. A cleansing is not just throwing some, sage in the air and calling it good. It's kind of like when you go in, you have to have your intent. It has to be done correctly. And then you have to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And then it's like when you think that everything is gone, you still have to do it.
Yes.
Because they can still come back at any time. It's not like they live in our plane and know what a day, a year, a decade is.
Right.
They don't know that.
Mm-mm.
So we have to continually still do this. So I mean, if you're going to cleanse, you have to do it all the time at first, but then it's always good to do it at least, I wouldn't even say once a month, once every 6 months, just something just to clear it out. I've done it before where I've had people in my home that I just didn't get a good vibe out of,
Yeah.
and I've cleaned the house from that. It's kind of like, you have to constantly be doing this and have your safeguards out. Krista is a big believer in iron, and that is a good repellent, is what I call it, a good repellent that we use. And there are many other things that we use also. Salt being another.
Salt.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's just amazing though, after you do all of the things and then they come back at you and they say, "Oh, well, I heard from my grandma again." "Oh, you did? Did you talk to her?" "Yes."
Yeah.
Well, everything that we had just done is out the window.
Yeah.
Everything that we had just done. So I mean,
and it's hard to tell people, that, I've been doing this many years. So same with Brandy and Natalie, ghosts don't scare us.
Yeah.
It's but I understand, because at one time they did scare me. So I understand when people are in their homes and they get scared, and it's hard not to freak out if a door opens or whatever. And, I try to tell them, just don't talk about it. Don't feed the energy, and as hard as that is to do, I understand that. It's easier for me to say because they don't scare me anymore, where, a homeowner, it's freaking them out. They're really scared,
yeah.
I know for all of us, we sit back and go, "Ooh, can you do that again?" That's what we do. "Oh, hey, I didn't catch it. Can you do that again, Kate?"
Right.
Yeah, and you wait because you think they're gonna, But for the most part, it's like, yeah, they are scared, and we're doing our best to help them calm the nerve, especially if it's something that is just hanging around. And most of the time, that's what it is. It's just something hanging out. Just that's it. Just hanging out. It's like you either learn to coexist or you have to learn to cleanse and keep it out. It's completely up to you. I mean, you can't really have it both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as much as I love where this conversation is going, we are actually 1 minute to the hour.
There we go.
So we will definitely have to have you guys back on and have a part 2 to this show, because not only did we not go where we're going, but I'm loving where we're going instead. And so I love when shows do that. And so before I close it off with the outro, why don't you guys take a moment and state what you have coming up, if you have anything you want to promote, like your podcast or an event.
Well, we do shows, live shows every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Central, 9 in the East. This week we have Eddie and Jen in the vlogs, and they're just great people. And we're going to talk about Eddie's uncle was the guy who made the deal with the devil, Robert Johnson, down in Mississippi. So we're going to talk about that. And then we have conferences, as we said earlier. We have Townsend, Tennessee, the first weekend in May. We have we're going to, as Natalie said, we're going to Florida. It's the second weekend in June. And then we have Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's in July. I just don't remember the dates. And then, we are all meeting up, and we'll have a TV show that's going to be out. So we'll keep you all updated on that too.
Yep.
I'm excited. And before I play the outro, I do have one message for you all. And that is from my heart and the heart of my shows to you. Thank you for what you're doing for the paranormal community.
Thank you.
And for the world. It's seen, it's heard, and felt.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
We
Appreciate that.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so be sure to follow, like, and subscribe to Blondes and Booze and to my shows.
Mhm.
You'll never know when I might have them back on. And
Anytime,
so
absolutely.
Yeah.
it's been
Yep.
a pleasure and an honor to speak with you all. And so, with that, I'm going to say good night to everyone. Have a blessed
Good
day,
night.
blessed evening. Goodbye, everyone.